YouTube is a very fascinating place. It's where I spend a vast majority of my time, and I love what I do here. Part of what I do, outside of talking about movies and pop culture and entertainment on this channel, I spend a lot of time learning about the YouTube algorithm and learning how the inner workings of the platform operate. Even last night, I went to Seattle for a creator meetup hosted by Daryl Eves, who's one of the biggest YouTube consultants out there, in order to gain more information about where YouTube is, where it stands, and where things are going. And I do this simply because I want to know, and then I like to teach it to other people as well. The only way to stay ahead of the game is to be, well, prepared for it, right? But here's something that popped up today that's fascinating, and I kind of get it. So Julia Alexander, who writes for Polygon and The Verge, says here, this is kind of a fascinating discovery. YouTube seems to have changed the immediate Brie Larson search results to news. That pushes up authoritative sources, and in turn pushes down trolls or MRA-style video rants pretty far down the page. Here's what it is versus now. So this is Brie Larson just beforehand, seeing a John Talks video, a Bandit Incorporated, an Alterori, and a Zania one here, right? Those kind of videos. But this is what it looks like now, showing Brie Larson answered the web's most searched questions, Captain Marvel directors on Brie Larson's casting, Brie Larson thinks Captain Marvel stunt made her puke, and Captain Marvel star Brie Larson on taking landmark role. Now you see these are all by confirmed sources here. These are all from verified accounts, and they all have a fair amount of views, with the exception of the USA Today one, which only has 1.1 thousand views, and it's one day ago. But looking against these ones over here, 16,000, 670,000. Yeah, that should have been up there pretty high. And for, nearly 500,000 on this one here. So we can see that there's a weird kind of situation taking place in regards to YouTube and the algorithm for Brie Larson. Now, part of the last couple of days has been this massive push against Captain Marvel on YouTube. I've criticized the film immensely. I've supported the Alita Challenge, even though I'm seeing Captain Marvel tonight. My ticket was already covered by another source, so that's one of the reasons why. And ultimately, it's one that I want to see, so I have to review it. That's my job. But it kind of hit this peak the other day. I think it hit this peak when the review scores dropped and everyone was talking about it. I think that was a big element of it, right? But Julia here goes on to say that my immediate takeaway from this is something that I've always assumed. The issue isn't fixing the algorithm, but fixing how certain search terms are qualified. It shows an understanding of how people are using the site and actively combating trollish behavior that surfaces. Here's another example. If I search Anita Sarkeesian, the main results are pretty apparent troll posts from bad actors. The main difference, no news tag. Therefore, authoritative sources aren't pushed to the top, and conspiracy videos that receive engagement are. Finishing up here by saying, my final takeaway from this proves YouTube's fundamentally understands how the site works and how certain creators game its algorithm because of its intervened and fixed it. The big step now is actively implementing that fix we see with news to the entire platform. And this is where things are going to get really, really, really weird, because what we're looking at here is, in my opinion, a very odd scenario. So on my primary account, Mundane Matt, I'm verified. So I'm a verified account. I post under news and entertainment pretty much all the time. So if I were to talk about this, because I'm verified for one, and two, I'm talking under that tag. If I talk about Brie Larson, am I going to ultimately get pushed to the top and other people aren't? That's something I'm kind of fearful of. Not to say that it wouldn't benefit me, but I mean, I don't want it to in that regard. I'd rather it be natural and of the right reason. And so I'm also wondering if they're going to start pushing down commentary videos. Because there was a thing a couple years ago, and this is true, is we had the reply girl problem. And that was a big problem here on YouTube back in 2013. So much so that YouTube actually got rid of the video response feature that it used to have. And that's a feature that most creators, including myself, have begged YouTube to bring back. It was a great way to kind of respond to a content creator who put out a video that you either agreed with or disagreed with. It was a great way to get integrated into their audience if they accepted it. Many of them did, because they appreciated the engagement. It was able to foster other sorts of conversations, and it was fascinating to see overall. The problem was that it was bogged down by spam. What you would get are what we would call reply girls, and reply girls would wear like low-cut tops, showing off lots of cleavage, wouldn't really say anything of value, but thumbnails would be extremely provocative, eye-catching, and clickbait. And that became a huge enough issue for YouTube that they went in there and they got rid of that feature, ultimately killing the reply girl scenario. Now what we're dealing with here is a cluster-based algorithmic approach to things. And the cluster is, if you go look at someone's page and you look to see who's on the right side of a page, you can then see which related channels that they are related to. That's their cluster. And their cluster allows a kind of a sharing of subscribers, right? And it's not that every cluster is the same. It weaves in and out, but YouTube puts us all into certain groups based upon the content that we cover. So if you go and you see one particular creator talking about something, look at their related channel and look to see what those related channels are talking about. And I guarantee you a lot of them are talking about the same thing. That boosts those videos up in the algorithm, which ultimately does lead to more views and more subscriptions potentially, right? And YouTube itself doesn't care about your subscriptions anymore. That number actually means very little. It's all about the browser feature, the suggested, and the recommended. That's where things are with YouTube and the algorithm. Again, this is what I've spent 2 years now diving into and trying to fully understand. So when YouTube is coming in and basically trying to knock down commentary videos about Captain Marvel, I'm wondering if they're looking at the fact that it blew up as a trending topic, and then they're going, okay, these videos aren't offering anything of value, they're considered spam, and so they're dropping them down. Now, that's not to say that John Talks and other people that I showed earlier are producing spam. I don't know. John Talks did put out a video where he said, I don't really care about this ultimately, but YouTube is my business, so I'm going to talk about Captain Marvel, and then went on this really kind of just weird rant about how women don't want to see the movie, and I'm like, okay, whatever, fine, dude, and that was that. I don't view it as spam, I just don't view it as something I personally care about as a creator, as a viewer of this content. That's my take on it, but ultimately, I don't believe these are spam videos, nor should they be treated as such. And it is going to be a problem, though, is if there are elements of these communities, like, you know, bad faith actors and really horrible, shitty, terrible, toxic communities out there, of which there are a number of them, not related to movies, specifically on YouTube in general. And YouTube, again, right now has been doing what it can to kind of mitigate the comment section and damage from that. I've seen comments outright removed and deleted from people all the way through, or comments now that don't pop up even held for review. Someone will comment on it. It will register it as a comment. I can't see what it is to approve it. It's not in the held for review or likely spam. It's simply gone. It is gone. And I don't know where it went, and I don't know how it got there. You know, so we're seeing a lot of that, and that's been happening a lot more in the past couple of weeks, I've been noticing, ever since the whole Matt's What It Is situation with YouTube comments on videos aimed around children. It's a weird thing that's going on. So if YouTube is in fact dropping videos that are critical of Captain Marvel or considered to be spam, all around trying to game the algorithm, because YouTube is very protective over their algorithm, and they're very protective over how it gets worked, and they can cut you off. They can outright cut you off if they want to. And that could be what happens next. And that is not something I'm advocating for by any stretch of the imagination. I think if you have a video, it works within the algorithm, by all means, get the clicks, get the views, do your thing, by all means. I'm a little bit concerned, though, because if that is what's happening, if they are going after channels in this particular fashion, this is going to have widespread problems, because it is almost removing the you in YouTube. We've seen this coming up from a multitude of other angles as well, where we see like conspiracy videos having Wikipedia articles debunking those conspiracies. I'm more okay with that, to be honest with you, but we're also talking about now, you know, certain situations having more local news or more mainstream news being brought up to the forefront of these search terms as a way to combat fake news and fake information. And that's kind of what this is. This Captain Marvel YouTube algorithm situation is more or less, I think, based around that than anything else. And it is definitely an issue, and it's definitely one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on 100%. And so at this point, just leave your thoughts on it, because I'm really curious to know. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. While you're here, feel free to check out that subscribe button. You know, help the channel out. Or you can watch any of the newest videos and make sure that you're caught up to date with what's going on in Hollywood and entertainment. So that way, when you're at work tomorrow, you can wow your friends with the information you learned from watching these videos. That's right. I said it. Subscribe.